What should have been an ordinary drive home for an elderly couple in Taylor turned into a brutal attack. KVUE Crime Files revisits a case that has haunted a small Williamson County community for decades. And nearly 40 years later, almost to the day, no one has ever been held responsible. This hymnal may be worn and stained, but it still brings Carla Ritchey Scruggs much comfort. Page 30 is where she often lands.
The old rugged cross is just, it's so symbolic of so many things.
A song her grandfather taught her long ago.
And I keep fighting. I keep fighting. I stay strong. Because that's how he was. Till the very end.
March 5th, 1988, 10 p.m. It was a routine Saturday night in Taylor for Carla's grandparents, Essie and Ethel Ritchey, the kind they'd followed for years.
They did the same thing all the time. They operated the laundromat every weekend, and so they closed it down every weekend, and I think they would typically go and buy their groceries then.
After an HEB run, the elderly couple drove their maroon Ford to their home in the Shiloh community, off County Road 479 and FM 112. But as they unloaded groceries from the car, that routine turned violent. 19 at the time, Carla was headed home after being out with her friends and boyfriend. But the road was blocked, and a Williamson County deputy came to her window.
And he goes, where are you from? And I said, well, I'm about at Shiloh. And he said, what is your name? And I told him. And his face went blank.
Carla's grandfather was attacked as he stood by the open trunk of his car. The 77-year-old was struck over the head with a blunt object. Ethel was also assaulted.
When she woke up, she was in, I believe, the flower bed.
Dazed and confused, Ethel managed to phone family members who lived on the same property. Soon after, the sheriff's department and EMS arrived. Ethel was shaken, but okay. However, Essie wasn't as fortunate.
He just told Daddy, he just said, they did this to me. And then he was out.
Starflight airlifted him to the hospital, where he died 17 days later from his injuries. Detectives say the suspect stole a small amount of cash that Essie had on him and then disappeared.
And it is so sickening that these people took him for a little bit of money because he was an easy target.
Detective Mark McKinney believes the couple was followed home and targeted because of their predictable routine. And even after all this time, he says someone in the community still knows what happened.
Taylor's a small enough town that somebody probably has been talking or bragging about this crime.
They're living with it too. I don't know how they get up every day and look in the mirror, but they do. But it's there. And they just need to come forward. It's time.
And Carla tells me her grandmother, Ethel, never really recovered from what happened that night. She died of natural causes in 2000.
It's terrible to see they've been waiting so long, like you said, nearly 40 years since this happened. So has any progress been made? Do they have any idea as to what happened here and who did this?
Initially, they did make some progress. Detectives tell me that they've had several leads over the years. In fact, 2 people were arrested, but then later proven innocent. But just to show you, Brian, how long this case has been open, Carla says the young deputy she spoke with that night, the one who came to her window, is now the Williamson County Sheriff.
Oh my gosh.
Sheriff Matt Lindeman.
Wow, that's
so it's
amazing.
been quite some time.
So he's been a part of this the entire time,
Absolutely.
too. Absolutely. And you know he wants to solve it probably as much as the family does. That's amazing to see that. And sometimes it just takes one tip, one thing that somebody might see or hear in a town like that to kind of break things open. Is that what they're hoping for here?
That's what they're hoping for. And just like Detective McKinney, when he said, someone's going to brag about something, someone's going to open their mouth and say something. He said, Taylor's a small town, people talk.
Yeah.
And that's what they're hoping. They're hoping that someone says, you know what, they just kind of talk and say something, or they might think something might not even be that important, and they come up with a tip, and that is what helps break this case.
So there's no way, I know with the yogurt shop murder case, there was that DNA evidence that years later they were able to use to move forward in the case. There's no word on any blunt object that was used or something that was left at the scene they might be able to draw DNA from?
I'm assuming that they do have some information. As far as telling me, I'm not privy to exactly what it is, but they do always keep this evidence. And again, they retest evidence using new technology.
Exactly.
But also they need to have kind of like another piece of the puzzle to kind of maybe, I don't know, compare it, contrast it, kind of try to figure out if it works, if this is a person. But again, I think the main thing, they said they're close to it, but they really need that extra step. They really need that extra bit of evidence, that key piece.
Maybe it will happen. Maybe it will happen soon. Maybe this will help spark somebody's memory, or that DNA evidence can be further analyzed to make them get that break they've been looking for.
And you can possibly help if you have any information about what happened. Look at your screen right now. Call the Williamson County Sheriff's Office Cold Case Tip Line at 512-943-5204.